leider kein Luxusartikel. Nein.
Herzlich willkommen. Welcome, or how I would like to say as a native Berliner, Tachchen. Schön, dass alle da sind. Well, this is it. This is going to be like the press conference for the IFA 2024, and I hope you're just as excited as I am. I mean, in all these years that I've been here, part of the IFA itself, this is the second time that I'll be hosting the press conference itself, but it's not for the first time ever to be here in the cellar, in the sub-levels of the City Cube, which is quite amazing. And therefore, just let me give you kind of an idea what's going to happen. First and foremost, I will actually invite our guest here to the stage. Fate of IFA, first and foremost, Dr. Sarah Warnecke, Managing Director of GFU Consumer and Home Electronics. GFU is the brand owner of IFA and one of two shareholders of IFA Management GmbH. Then Lisa Hannant, CEO of Clarion Events Limited, the other shareholder in the IFA Management joint venture. And of course, Leif Lindner, CEO of IFA Management GmbH, which is responsible for the organization of the trade show. So please, welcome to the stage. That's exciting. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And as you can tell, we just saw just a short clip which only shows a small part of the history. This is why I would like to know from you, what does 100 years of IFA history mean to you? Lisa, shall we start with you?
Thank you very much, Patrice, and thank you to the IFA community for welcoming us here to Berlin. For me, IFA simplifies innovation. It showcases how the consumer electronics and home appliances industry has actually revolutionised the way we live our everyday lives. I've always been fascinated by the progress and the technological leaps and bounds that the developers, suppliers and manufacturers make, and certainly are making in the years that we are currently facing. These things enhance our everyday lives, and as consumers, we're always looking for the next thing that can make the difference to our everyday lives, make it go faster, make it go better, and have a better experience. And I can honestly say, in my 30 years of working in the live events industry, that I don't think I've ever had the privilege of working with a brand as recognised and renowned as IFA, but yet steeped in history, but has the ability to transform the future.
Thank you so much, and welcome again. Leif, as you can tell, Leif and I pretty much look like twins. It's not only almost like the same haircut, but also we are also like from Berlin. So what does IFA mean to you?
Yeah, IFA is a part of my life and of my city. As you said, I grew up in Berlin, and IFA was there every late summer. For me, it is a symbol of progress and innovation. I still remember my first visits as a teenager. Even then, I was fascinated by the technology on display. Today, as part of the IFA management team, I'm proud to continue this tradition. IFA brings the latest innovation directly to the capital of Germany and makes them accessible to everyone. Innovation for all.
And Dr. Sarah Warnecke, I don't know if I'm really actually asking the question correctly, because what I wrote down is Can I actually call you an IFA veteran? I mean, what's your special IFA moment?
Well, I wouldn't call myself a veteran, but I already have more than 10 events under my belt, so I've been here around a little bit. And every time there is a feeling that grips me. And it actually sets in right at this moment when the halls have already filled up with the journalists on the first morning of the press days. And then come the trade visitors, the retailers, and of course the consumers. These are the moments when I realize what all the people involved in the IFA project have been working for all year. This vibrant energy is simply unique for me.
And I'm sure you're intensively involved with the IFA history over the last few months. Are there any particular events that you have made that have made a special impression on you?
Well, there are so many of them. It's hard to put them in one. Let me think about it. I'll come back to you later.
Live.
Yeah. For me, it is clearly the moment when Vice Chancellor Willy Brandt introduced the colored television in Western Germany, as you saw in the clip, in IFA 1967 when he pressed the button. The new era began in this moment. His quote, "Color TV does not want to remain a luxury item," symbolizes what IFA is all about, innovation for all.
So now that I had a little bit of time to think about it, for me, one very big milestone was the integration of the home appliances in 2008. That was shortly before I started IFA, but this integration has a lasting impact on the trade show until today. And since then, IFA has become even more diverse and has a strong core that continues to develop with a broad portfolio.
I think for me, it's probably a little bit more recent in time, and I have to say, in 2022, when we formed the joint venture between Clarion and the GFU, it signalled for me the opportunity to reimagine the next 100 years of IFA, alongside the industry, our partners, and of course the consumers and customers themselves. And we're incredibly proud to be part of this story, now and in the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to Berlin, welcome back to IFA, and most importantly, welcome to our industry's biggest birthday party yet. IFA turns 100 this year. What an anniversary for the world's largest consumer electronics and home appliances show. And what a history. We are looking back at 100 years of innovation, of being at the cutting edge of technology, and of people coming to Berlin to experience the future. But IFA is and always has been about so much more than new technologies. IFA is a connector. During the past 100 years, IFA has brought together innovators, tech manufacturers, and connected them with retailers, the media, and probably most important, with the consumer. So, how about it? Have you brought us a birthday present? Well, of course, yes you have. It's you. It's you being here in Berlin. It's you joining us for IFA for celebration. For me, that's the best present. But we will also keep all the good bits of IFA, like being here in Berlin, one of the most dynamic and vibrant cities in Europe. If you're a geek like me, and that's probably most of you here, then there's a tip. During the next few days, visit IFA 100, the exhibition in the Palais am Funkturm.
It's one of the oldest industry trade shows in the world, and IFA has been at the cutting edge of technology. From its beginnings in the 1920s, focusing on radio and broadcasting, all the way to today with innovations like AI. All of a sudden, it was possible to reach many people more easily than ever before. He highlighted how important technological progress was for society and how much it takes to achieve innovation. If you want to find out more, check out the GFU website, which has lots of fascinating details about 100 years of IFA and technology history. So now let's look at the macroeconomic facts first. The global economy continues to recover, albeit more slowly than we expected. Consumers also worry about political and economic uncertainties. A further decline in global inflation is expected during the next 12 to 18 months. However, the pace could remain slow, especially in emerging markets. High commodity prices and geopolitical tensions are also continuing to drive inflation. Inflation has a direct impact on our consumer tech markets. Looking at the figures starting in Q1 2023, we can see the market development improves directly when inflation is decreasing, which is shown in Q4 in 2023. Then, at the beginning of 2024, inflation increased and the market turned negative again. This pattern shows a direct correlation between low inflation and a positive market trend. There is a clear reason for this. The disposable income of consumers can be spent only once. Inflation, however, had an especially big impact on the costs of so-called fast-moving consumer goods. Consumers cannot avoid paying higher prices for FMCG, which means they have less disposable income to spend on consumer tech. Looking at the development of the consumer tech market, there was a stabilization in 2023 on a global level, with a volume of just under 1.2 trillion US dollars. Both segments, consumer electronics and home appliances, have also shown a stable development. Now, let's take a look at the regional breakdown of the consumer and home electronics market. In the first half of 2024, we have a mixed picture. Some regions showed growth, for example, Eastern Europe and the Middle East. Others, such as Western Europe and Latin America, are recording declines. Please note at this point, all market figures are shown here are based on US dollars at fixed exchange rates. Due to the changes in exchange rates, the data may show different trends when converted into the respective national currencies. Now, after looking at the different regions of the world, let's look at the different product categories. For the first half of 2024, we can see different trends for the major product groups. There are only two segments that show positive results. Telecommunication products grew by 2.3% and the photo segment grew by 8.1%. The consumer electronics and the IT segments declined by 2.5 and 5.4% respectively. E-commerce was the only way to do any kind of shopping except for fundamentals. For example, in Western and Eastern Europe, the e-commerce market share is recently rising again after declining due to the reopening of the stores in 2022. In contrast, e-commerce in China is constantly growing since the pandemic and is now even higher than during the pandemic. The e-commerce share of the overall consumer tech market stabilized at around 35% after the pandemic. This means that this phenomenon of online shopping has not returned to its peak yet, but the trend is clear. Our IFA Next Hall, where about 200 startups present their innovations, is a showcase for this aspiration. We often think of innovation as something completely new, but there's also a lot of innovation in companies who further develop existing products, which can also be found in the area of digital health, for example. This very innovative and young area will play an even larger role in the future. Soon, they will be able to use their own artificial cognitive assistants. However, in many cases, consumers need and demand much more information and explanation. And yes, I think it deserves a big applause. And so we have a little special gift for him, which I would like to bring in now quickly. Pavel, thank you very much for being our loyal IFA journalist of the past 50 years. Thank you.
Birthday cakes for you.